Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a mini PC here from Geekom with Radeon 890M graphics. So this is the Geekom A9 MAX mini PC with the Ryzen AI 9 HX370. This is a 12-core, 24-threaded CPU with 4 performance cores and 8 E-cores. It's a powerful CPU. If you're interested in some Cinebench results, they're right here on screen for you. But I'm mostly interested in what that Radeon 890M iGPU can do in games these days, especially in the recent, extremely intensive and broken titles. Alongside that APU, we got 32GB of DDR5 5600 megatransfers per second RAM. You can upgrade this to 128GB maximum, and it also comes with a 2TB SSD, which you can upgrade up to 8TB if you really need that. Going over the ports next, and Geekom, as usual, impresses with a ton of ports. On the front, we have 4 USB 3.2 Type A ports, really nice. A headphone jack and the power button. On the back you find one DC in power jack, 2 HDMI 2.1 ports with 4K 120Hz capabilities, 2 USB 4.0 Type-C ports with display out capabilities, 2 2.5 gigabit LAN ports, 1 USB 2.0 and another USB 3.2 if the 4 in the front weren't enough for you. And on the side, my friends, is, once again, my favorite port. The Geekom never forgets about it. It's the SD card reader. Very important for creators like myself, or photographers, or other people that work with SD cards. You know, it's really nice to see this included. You don't see this in a lot of mini PCs, and Geekom never forgets about us. Now, what they did forget about in the previous video that I made covering one of their devices, the one with the Ultra 9 CPU, was to properly cool that CPU. But thankfully, guys, with this machine, the CPU is properly cooled, the fan on it doesn't even get too loud, and the cooling system is adequate to sustain 54 watts of power. Love to see it. Finally, Geekom. Finally, it costs an eye-watering $999 which is a lot, of course, especially for a mini PC. I'd love to see the prices on mini PCs come down because, you know, you can get laptops that are better at gaming for that price. But it is what it is. Thanks to Geekom for sending this in for review, and let's test it out in 20 popular titles. Shall we? And we're starting with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. It's looking gorgeous here, and we're playing it at 1080p resolution with FSR 3.1 set to quality, which doesn't look too bad in this one, and the medium settings preset without motion blur. We don't want that. Let's start counting our FPS here. It's getting around 40 frames per second in this area, which is quite nice, actually, for integrated graphics especially. I mean, the game looks gorgeous on medium settings. You could play it on very low to achieve higher frame rates, of course, but I feel like for the single-player, story-driven title that this is, around 40 frames per second works really well, especially with integrated graphics, right? And I prefer to have that better visual fidelity that comes with medium settings preset. It's looking pretty damn sharp, aside from moving subjects, like the character models have this pixelation effect around them, which doesn't look very nice. But aside from that, guys, which is just a nitpick, basically, with the integrated graphics, in my opinion, it works really well. And remember that we're playing this in the Seattle Forest area, which is one of the most intensive areas in the entire game. It has this ton of vegetation around us, of course, and that's why. But in the city areas, for example, things become a bit more CPU intensive than GPU intensive, and since we're always maxed out on the GPU side of things here, that doesn't really matter too much. It's going to be super stable of an experience, going to be 100% GPU bound, super acceptable experience here in The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. I could definitely recommend this. Next is Silent Hill F, which is a recent UE5 title. It's the latest game on the list, actually. We're at 1080p resolution using the adequate settings for this iGPU, in my opinion. We're still at native res with TAA here, and I adjusted shadow quality to medium and reflections to screen space so it looks a bit better than lowest. Look at that! 40 FPS in this initial part of the game as well, which is extremely intensive usually on the GPU side of things. It's super GPU bound here, and we're seeing 40 FPS, 30s sometimes. There's a bit of popping, of course. There's a lack of ambient occlusion and so on, but I think it still looks pretty good for what it is, right? It performs pretty well, and it's a really good surprise to see it, because I'm actually recording this after I recorded some of the other clips with UE5 games, and damn, this is so much better in terms of optimization. So visuals to performance ratio here is much better than the other titles. We shall try like Borderlands 4 next, actually. It's just to compare it a little bit. That should become pretty unplayable. But yeah, guys, over here in city areas, you can still see like 30s and 40s. So not as big of a difference as I thought it would be, probably because we're running low settings here. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty enjoyable experience, even at native 1080p resolution, which is super impressive once again, in my opinion. Next up is Borderlands 4, a terribly optimized title at UE5, 720p resolution, using the low settings here with TSR on quality, which looks better than FSR in this one, and minimum settings here, basically. And well, this way we can get 30 plus FPS most of the time. With these games' graphics, it doesn't really look too terrible when you use upscaling, even on top of a resolution like 720p. Yeah, there we go, I just found some enemies. Let's see if the shooting mechanics hold up at these frame rates. Oh man, the stutters are so awful. Alright, let's see. Let's throw this thing. Oh, I'm missing a lot because of, well, the low frame rates, basically. It doesn't feel very good, guys. Yeah, I don't think I would actually recommend this game if you have a system like this. So stay away from this. I think I would rather play like Borderlands 3 or even Borderlands 2, for example. That one is also really, really good. And then when you upgrade your PC or maybe get an external GPU to pair with a mini PC like this, it will perform a lot better here, and it will be a more stable and enjoyable experience in Borderlands 4. You could, for example, enable some frame generation. I'll try it. Oh, frame gen is only available with FSR, so that's gonna look way worse. Okay. Yeah, you can see the pixelation now on the weapon. Really terrible. But it is smooth now. However, that low input lag that you got previously with 40-ish frames per second is now a lot of input lag. So yeah, unfortunately, this isn't a game meant to be played on a little system like this, but there are plenty of others that will run fine, thankfully, right? Next up is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, and in true Unreal Engine 5 fashion, it's not well optimized, guys, and it kind of looks like trash, quite honestly, because look at those trails around the sword there. Oh my god, this is like the worst ghosting that I've seen in recent titles, my friends. And that's saying a lot, actually. It's not a good experience. I wouldn't really recommend this. You should probably play the original one. But let's go over the settings. We're at 1080p resolution using the low settings preset and FSR balanced, because FSR quality was getting too close to 30 FPS to the point where I think it would drop a little bit. So yeah, this is definitely far from good looking at this point. The internal resolution is way too low, and there's ghosting and everything. It's soft looking, but at least it's not getting those 1% lows of like single digit FPS like when the game came. Oh, wait a second, maybe I spoke too soon. It's not as bad as when the game came out. It's actually playable. You could lock the FPS to achieve a flat frame time graph to like 30 frames, and I think I'm gonna do that because this is quite awful of an experience with so much micro stutter. So let's go ahead and try 30 FPS lock here. So yeah, I guess if all you want is 30 FPS locked and you don't care about this horrible pixelation and ghosting, I mean, I can see like 3 of my character there. Yeah, you could play this game, but it is too flawed, in my opinion. Alright, guys, it is not the GPU's fault or the system's fault. This is the developer's fault. They did not optimize this game whatsoever. Oh my god, yeah, those transition spikes still. You could also try like XeSS. I'm gonna try it on quality because quality XeSS is the same resolution internally as a balanced FSR. And it has a bit less ghosting, as you can see. It's also a bit softer and weirder looking in some ways. But I guess it may look a little bit better with XeSS quality than it does with FSR balanced here in this title. So obviously this is going to be down to personal preference and which upscaler you like the most. Bye, sir. What are you doing here? Freaking Jack, you know, he's trying to kill us every single time. We should visit him next, actually. But yeah, it's down to personal preference in terms of looks. I think, yeah, XeSS definitely does look better here, and especially on a smaller monitor, it will look decent. But hey, at least it gets 30 FPS locked all of the time here with these settings. You can play the game. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I think some people out there will probably be able to enjoy it regardless of its shortcomings in terms of optimization and PC performance. GTA 5 Enhanced is up next at 1080p, utilizing the high settings preset without motion blur. And over here, the Radeon 780M that I recently tested was getting around 10 FPS less than this one right now. I expected a bigger difference between the two of them, not gonna lie. I thought this one was going to achieve like 60 plus. Right now it's actually achieving 60 plus, so yeah, it's decent of an experience, but it's not groundbreaking. I thought it was going to be faster once again. So in terms of stability, it's really good, of course, as usual for GTA 5. It doesn't usually stutter or anything unless you are running out of VRAM, and it looks great, but it doesn't look as good as the legacy version because of that TAA. And if you enable FSR native AA to make things a bit sharper than with this TAA crap, you drop FPS by quite a lot. So to achieve 60 on average here, I will leave it with TAA. And again, I just thought it was going to be a little bit better. But hey, it's definitely playable, of course, very smooth indeed. But what I would end up doing is play the legacy version. And that's what I usually say for these integrated graphics experiences in GTA 5. It looks better because it doesn't have TAA. Hello, Jack, how's it going? Big stutter there, by the way, probably just a one-off. But let's go over to Bob's Bushes and see how much it drops to. Come on. Oh boy. 40s, low 40s. Yeah, 40 flat, basically, is the minimum that you'll see here. So, not a bad experience. Bobby's not here. We need to find that bastard. If you want to play online, you'll need to play the Enhanced Edition anyway, so this is the performance that you should expect. Online is more CPU-bound than GPU-bound, but again, this CPU won't bottleneck its iGPU, even in online GTA 5, so you'll end up getting pretty much the same FPS. And Bob is also not here. Where the heck did that bastard go? You know what? Bob is probably at home, causing the 890M not to reach 60 FPS average. It ended the benchmark run at 58. Look at that. Overall, for integrated graphics, given that this is the Enhanced Edition, not bad of an experience. However, again, you should play the Legacy because it's going to be buttery smooth 60 plus all of the time on high settings and sharper at the same time. Alright guys, now we're playing Helldivers 2. Jesus, what the hell? Okay, it's all good. It's all good. Let's go over the settings here. I'm playing at 1080p using ultra quality render scale, which looks decent. You know, it's not native resolution, but it's close enough. And these are the Steam Deck settings presets. So it looks decent. It's a good balance between visuals and performance. Most things are on low, but it still doesn't look too bad, honestly. I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. It's just has a lot of pixelated shots and explosions and so on. But hey, it handles it okay-ish, right? It's not a very good experience, not 60 plus all of the time, and right now nothing is happening, so it will definitely drop inevitably. The good thing about Helldivers 2 is that it doesn't really drop a ton of FPS most of the time. It usually is very stable. So if you get 47 FPS average like we're getting right now, the 1% lows are going to be very close to that average. So they're at 39 at the moment. Yeah, this means it's going to be a stable experience. It's not going to be super buttery 60 FPS smooth, but it's close enough. What is going on in this direction? Oh, there they are. Lots of enemies, finally. Let's go. Get a taste of freedom, you mother... Okay, let's throw some grenades at the tank. Come on, please. All right, we did it. We did it single-handedly. We beat the tank. Good stuff. Oh, my gosh. Dude, this is crazy. All right, kill the guy over there. I wish we could reuse that. Oh, the tank is right there. There's another one. Come on, come on, come on. Reload as well. They got some huge-ass cannons over there. Oh, boy. Can I do this? Oh, that was really fast. Killing that thing. Hello? Hello? Oh! Oh! And we got a friend joining us as well. That's beautiful. God damn it. Come on, come on. Oh boy. Oh boy, we're pushing them bastards. We're pushing them bastards. We're doing this. Oh, they got the chopper thingy over there as well. So much chaos. So much fun. Oh yeah. And we're now playing Cyberpunk 2077 version 2.31, and we're playing it at 1080p using the medium settings preset, which enables resolution scaling. I'm just going to disable it first of all. All right, so this is native res at medium settings. Some things are on high even, and let's try this. And well, looking at this, oh boy, I forgot to disable the motion blur. There we go. Looking at this standing still, it actually runs pretty well. The frame time is stable-ish, but as soon as you start driving, if I start counting the FPS here, the 1% lows are absolutely terrible, my friends. This is a big shame because the last time around that I tested the Radeon 890M, which was a year ago actually, when it released, or close to its release date, it was a buttery smooth experience. This was actually the first integrated GPU that I tried that achieved a smooth frame time graph in Cyberpunk 2077. However, unfortunately, they have updated the game to the point where they broke performance on these integrated GPUs. However, wait a second. Goodbye, Bob! There we go. Beautiful. We could still kill Bob, so that means that it's playable and perfect, right? No, I'm just kidding, of course. But notice that it didn't drop from 30 FPS. The actual FPS number didn't drop. It's only the 1% lows that went below it because of the stuttering, and the stuttering is extremely obnoxious. I hate it in this one, and I'll call it unplayable if you don't lock your FPS. But here's the thing, you can lock your FPS with your program of choice. This is RivaTuner Statistics Server, by the way, which I've been using time and time again to lock my frame rates. And as you can see, locking it to 30 FPS fixes all of the instability issues in the game. So now, it won't move from 30 FPS. It's going to be a console-like experience, or at least a last-gen console-like experience, because PS5, I think, has the performance mode that runs 60 FPS. But yeah, this is medium graphics settings, native resolution at 1080p. It looks fine like this. I could enjoy it. Goodbye, Bob, again. Forgot to spit on me. What did you just say? What kinky business are you into? What the heck is this? Dude, I'll spit. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. This is how I'd play the game, alright? But what if you want to achieve 60 FPS? You're not happy with 30, you want more stability and just a higher frame rate overall. Let's try it with the low settings, alright? Resolution scaling, I'll disable that again because FSR in this game looks really bad. And I'll select the lowest settings possible at the moment because the low settings preset still has a lot of things on medium, as you can see. So here we go, everything is applied now. Let's go ahead and play the game. It's instantly feeling a lot smoother. Even with unlocked FPS, the frame time is again stuttery, but it's not as terrible as it was before, right? And I mean, it's still not 60 FPS, but if we manage to get like 45 plus all of the time, that's already a very good bump in performance, like 45 locked, compared to 30 locked, right? And it feels considerably smoother, it's more responsive as well if you do that. Alright, let's see it here. This area is really intensive, and yeah, that is definitely the case. It's not dropping to 45 FPS, so you can lock it at 45, you'll have that 45 flat frame time graph. But let's try to aim higher, alright? Let's do FSR on quality. It's FSR 2.1, it has a bit of ghosting behind the car, but it looks better than FSR 3 in this game. And it's still not enabled to achieve 60 all of the time, guys. So you don't gain a ton of performance and you're ruining the graphics quality by quite a lot right now. However, I think there's no need to lock the FPS at this point. It's close enough to 60. It feels good even with the frame time going like crazy. It's not too noticeable. So this is another way to play the game if you want that performance mode. But you know what, guys? With close to 60 FPS on average, that's a decent baseline for us to enable some frame generation. So that's what I did now and restarted the game. And here we go. It finally works. This is actually the first time that I'm trying FSR frame generation in this game, because up until now, it wasn't working. It said that you were getting higher FPS, but those higher FPS weren't drawn. And honestly, guys, it's so much smoother. And the responsiveness is still good. Wow, alright. I need to make a dedicated video in Cyberpunk 2077 with like the 9060 XT, testing FSR 4 plus frame generation now that it's working. Yeah, I definitely should get into it because this is such a better experience. Input lag-wise, this is incredible. Smoothness-wise, it's really nice. High refresh rate panels will be able to take advantage of this very well. And the quality of the frame generation, well, it isn't the most amazing. I can see some duplicated frames and so on and pixelation, but at the same time, it's not obnoxious. I will take that trade-off. But let me try it without any resolution scaling and FSR 3.1 on top of those 40-ish frames per second that we were seeing. This is the way, guys. I am super impressed with this. I don't usually test frame generation with integrated graphics because the FPS baseline are way too low, usually. But this is working phenomenally here in Cyberpunk. Now I'm curious though, I need to see this. I'm gonna select the low preset, which has a lot of things on medium, as I said. Let's disable vignette again, and let's check this out now. So baseline FPS would be in the 30 to 40 FPS range, I guess, since we're getting these FPS here with frame generation enabled. And we're getting 60s. Artifacting is definitely more noticeable now that we're closer to 60 FPS, guys. And in terms of mouse movements, the input lag is a bit too much at this point. So stick to the lowest settings plus frame generation, I think. That's the best way to play this game at this point in time, in my opinion, with this GPU. But let's try it with quality FSR as well. So this fixes it, mostly, because the baseline FPS would be much higher at this point. Yeah, guys. You know what? Frame generation is definitely a go in Cyberpunk 2077, even on integrated graphics. This is crazy. I thought this was going to be a crazy stuttery mess and I was going to complain about it the whole time, but hey, instead, I'm here enjoying some frame generation in Cyberpunk 2077. Nice. So now we're playing another UE5 title. This is Marvel Rivals. We're playing it at 1080p with FSR quality and the lowest settings, and it's already dropping from 60 FPS. Yes, guys, UE5 strikes again. With these graphics, you'd expect a lot more performance, especially given that the game is a competitive game. But you know what, guys? I would rather play something else. If you really want to play these competitive shooters like Counter-Strike 2 or Overwatch 2, will run considerably better than this, because this is based in UE5. All right, there we go. Hulk, goodbye. Goodbye, Hulk. Come on. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to hit some people here with these FPS. Oh man, it's sad. It's just sad to see this. But hey, a lot of people do like this game and this is very popular these days. So if you want to hop into it, play for a little bit, the 890M will do the job. It's just a bit underwhelming. And if you lower it down to like 720p, it will be 60 plus all of the time, but then it looks very bad. Now, after seeing frame generation in Cyberpunk, I went to test it out here in Marvel Rivals as well. It adds a little bit of input lag for sure. I'm not even sure if it's working. Last time that I tested this with the frame generation, it was showing more FPS, but it didn't actually feel like it was getting more FPS. Over here, I'm not sure. Like, moving the camera around like this still kind of feels like 50 FPS sometimes, so it might not even be working. It just feels off because of the input lag. In a shooter game, I prefer to have 45 plus FPS with an average of like 60, which is what we were getting, than 60 plus FPS or 70 plus FPS with input lag and frame generation. But you know what does not need frame generation to achieve insanely high FPS? Well, that's right, you're watching it. Hollow Knight Silksong. So we're here getting 300 plus basically at all times at 1080p using max settings in the game. And it's to be expected. It's a 2D title. It's super popular as well and a great game. So you should definitely buy it if you're running a system like this or if you're running any system altogether, because it's just awesome. It will run on any potato out there. I tested the GT710 already on it. It was the first GPU that I tried in this game. And it's flawless, guys. Oh, look at that. In this area, that's slightly less intensive. It even reaches 500 frames per second sometimes. That's pretty crazy. I don't want to fight you bastards. Stop that, please. Stop following me around, I said. I just want to get to the boss. Alrighty, we're finally here. Please, Moss Queen or whatever you're called. Moss Mother, yes. Stop that. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We can do this. Concentration, Crisp. Concentration. So FPS are dropping slightly, maybe. Sometimes. Not really, though. Right? I mean, it's still super buttery smooth of an experience. You won't really have a problem at all. Come on, bro. I'm not even trying, by the way. All right, that's why we're almost dying. But it is very easy. I don't need to try. Oh, come on. Wait. I thought it was done. Stop it. There we go. Now, this effect is the one that I wanted to check out, and it's not really dropping our FPS by a whole lot either, so I mean, do you need more FPS? And now we're playing another recent title. This is Dying Light the Beast at 1080p resolution using TAAU on quality and the lowest settings here, which has some things on medium still. And well, here we have it. We got the light dying right there because it's sunset time at the moment. Yeah, I know, not a funny joke. Anyway, let's start counting our FPS here. This should be a pretty smooth experience. Why aren't you climbing down the stairs? I don't understand. Anyway, let's go. This should be a pretty stable experience because the game is running buttery smoothly. Unlike UE5 titles, this doesn't have a ton of stutters. Sometimes it does have a little spike here and there, but it's minor, basically, and most of the time during your playthrough, it's going to be really, really smooth. Unfortunately, however, 30 FPS isn't really smooth. So we're going to be stuck here with 30-ish frames per second on average. But I think the biggest issue is this is a first-person shooter, so it doesn't really feel all that great with 30 FPS, even though it's going to be playable, you know, and you can actually lower the resolution down to like 720p resolution. It doesn't look terrible either with TAAU on quality here, and the performance is somewhat better than something like a GTX 1066GB GPU, so that's pretty good for an integrated GPU, but this is a recent title once again, and it requires a bit more power than that. However, I think people playing games on integrated graphics should be fine with this experience. You know, like some of my friends at least would be completely fine with this. One of them is running a GTX 970M GPU, all right? And that's very old. That's an old laptop. He would be super happy with this kind of performance in a game like this. So yeah, it comes down to your expectations and what you're comfortable with. This gets 30 plus FPS pretty much at all times, so it's not too bad. You could lock it to 30 as well and have an even flatter frame time graph. And it's gonna get 30 all of the time. Alright guys, now we're playing Counter-Strike 2 at 1080p resolution, utilizing the low settings with medium textures and no FSR. Okay, so we're playing Deathmatch here, guys, which is more CPU intensive than GPU intensive. I mean, this game mostly is more CPU intensive, right? And that's why we're seeing a lower GPU utilization than usual here. It's 70%, 80% at times, which is not the greatest, but it doesn't really matter too much. This is also very, very CPU demanding compared to like competitive mode, which will get you a little bit higher FPS and higher GPU usages as well. Oh boy. Okay, come on, let's go. Ooh, I'm not getting the hang of this too well, guys. Come on, I don't know the recoils. God damn it. I also bought a few skins, guys, for these videos. So now you got something beautiful to look at while I'm getting wrecked in this game sometimes. Oh boy, that's a very interesting name, by the way, from that guy. A bunch of numbers, yes. You know what, maybe we should try a little bit of the AWP, shall we? Good. Yeah, let's see what I can do with this thing. Okay. Well, guys, honestly, I was expecting a bit higher FPS still, even though this is an APU. I thought the CPU was going to be faster in Counter-Strike 2 because I recently played with a system from a friend of mine with an RX 6650M and a Ryzen 7 7th generation. So supposedly this is a faster CPU than that 7840HS. Which was at 65 watts, I think. This is at 43 or something, but yeah, this should be a little bit faster than that. It could be because this has 4 P cores and the other one has 8. There we go, that was a nice shot. God damn it, these guys are so good! 1% lows are also a bit lackluster, guys. I thought it was going to be a bit better than that. There we go, triple kill there. Ooh, 30 seconds left. I don't think I can get to third place here, guys. Please move, buddy, please. Okay, another one down. Another one down. Another one down. Okay, third place is ours. Oh, no. I think the second guy just killed us there. Come on. Or the third one now. Come on. Okay. There we go. That was almost a headshot there on B-Bus. Okay, 10 seconds. Oh, I'm fourth again. Seriously. Let's go. Kill chickens as well. There we go. Another one. Let's go. Push me, you bastards. Third place. All right, I'm happy with that. Now it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We're playing at 1080p low settings with FSR 3.1 on quality, and well, this isn't going to be a very bad experience, both in terms of visuals and performance. This game on low still looks really good. It mostly affects the shadow quality as well as the render distance of like vegetation and other objects, so you can keep it on low and still make it look decent, as you can see. And over here with the Radeon 890M and the RTX 370, we're getting above 60 FPS pretty consistently. It will dip down here and there in forest areas. We're gonna get there in a little bit, of course, but most of the time I think you're gonna see a 60 FPS average experience here, which is quite good. Now, because this is an iGPU, and I've seen this with other iGPUs as well, the frame time graph sometimes is like that. I don't know why. There's not much to it, and if you lock the FPS, you can have a flat frame time graph again. I'm not going to do it because, well, I'm benchmarking here, of course. But locking the FPS is definitely the way to go here. Maybe to 55 frames per second because it doesn't dip down from that. But, well, this is probably the best experience you'll have with integrated graphics here with the Radeon 890M at least. Because, again, it stays at 60 plus on average. Doesn't really dip down too much. We're here inside of a forest, which is supposedly intensive compared to the city area previously, and we're getting around 60 FPS still. It's not dipping down too often, so I can definitely recommend it, and this is a game that you should definitely play with a little system like this one with the RTX 370 and its iGPU. Another UE5 game is next. This is Stalker 2 at 720p resolution, lowest settings, FSR quality. It just pains me to see this because there are so many pre-tier titles out there like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at 720p internally resolution, you know, being upscaled to 1080p like we just played previously, and it gets 60 FPS and it's prettier. Like, this is just a blurry, terrible optimized mess. 40-ish FPS is what you can expect, guys. This is a game that you should not play on a mini PC like this, even though this is quite powerful of an iGPU and CPU as well. And the RAM is DDR5 and so on, and it has a fast SSD. It won't do for these AAA UE5 games, basically. It's too much for these, okay? It's still playable. At least it doesn't stutter as much as Borderlands did, right? So there's that. I guess you could enjoy the game a little bit here, but with these graphics, not really. It just looks way too bad, and it's not enjoyable like this, guys. All right, although, again, oh my god, what the heck? It is playable. It is playable. Holy crap, this is new, actually. I've never seen the rats in this game. Oh my gosh, they're coming towards me. What should I do? There we go. No, we actually can kill them all. Good. But yeah, guys, for a 30 plus FPS experience, you need these really low-end graphics, and it's just not enjoyable like this. So stay away. Everything, or almost everything that is UE5 is not meant to be played on iGPUs. Oh my god, lots of them again. What the hell, bro? Next up is Red Dead Redemption 2 at 1080p resolution, utilizing the favor performance settings with texture quality set to ultra instead of low, so this means it's mostly low settings with a couple of things set to medium. Still guys, the game manages to look decent. You know, it's not amazing like it usually is, but it still looks okay for an iGPU gaming at least, and it gets us 40 plus frames per second most of the time, although maybe since we're getting already 40s, I think it might drop into the 30s in just a little bit in the Strawberry Town, which is pretty intensive, you know. But yeah, aside from that, it's going to be a pretty stable experience here. It shouldn't really stutter because this game is well optimized in regards to stutter. I'm seeing a few frame time spikes though. I didn't want to go into first person, but okay. VRAM allocation there is a bit weird, but in this game it's always less than 1 gigabyte if you're running an iGPU, which is pretty weird, but it doesn't really matter because the RAM on iGPUs is the system RAM anyways, so it shouldn't really slow down because of that. But yeah, I just thought it was going to be a little bit better. Hello, Bob! A little stutter there again. Weird. This game is usually very stable. Go, go, go! Go, Arthur, go! Alright. Sing for us, Bob! Oh boy! I think we killed him. Alright, let's go. Temperatures are also totally under control. 60 to 65 degrees Celsius there. Power usage jumped up now to 55 watts, 58 sometimes. Interesting. That's probably because this area is just more CPU intensive as well, so it's using a bit more CPU here. But yeah, overall, aside from a couple of frame time spikes, which I don't know why those are happening. Again, it's usually flat. Yeah, it is a very playable experience for iGPU, especially at 1080p native resolution. So yeah, you can enjoy some Red Dead Redemption 2, of course. Next is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. I haven't tested this game in a really long time, but I bought it again recently. We're at 720p resolution, FSR 3 on quality, and the graphic settings are set to the low settings preset. I'm not sure why it says custom there because I didn't change anything, maybe the motion blur. Okay, anyway, this is a very pretty game. It has a ton of detail even on the lowest settings, as you can see. It looks super vibrant, super alive, but also super soft right now and pixelated because of FSR on quality. But if you disable that, well, you get less than 30 frames per second, which isn't really ideal since this is a first-person game and, well, it's less than 30 FPS. It's never ideal, I guess. But hey, over here we can reach up to 40 frames per second. A little stutter there, by the way. But yeah, it's nice to be back here in this title. I can't wait to test it out with a proper high-end GPU and see those beautiful graphics again because it's a really pretty game. But yeah, I guess if you have a smaller monitor, it won't look all that terrible, but it's a bit too much of a game and it's a bit too intensive for little iGPU like the 890M. I mean, for an iGPU, the 890M isn't half bad, but this game is just way too intensive for it. And I tested this game with the Z1 Extreme on the Asus ROG Ally previously. It was a really terrible experience. It wasn't playable no matter what I did there. At least in this one, you can lower down the resolution and the graphics to a point where it is indeed playable and still looks okay, especially on a smaller monitor again. And I mean, the GPU is capable of playing this. You just gotta adjust your expectations a lot. And it is conclusion time, my friends. As usual, I'll still have 5 more games running right here while we talk a little bit about the Geekom A9 MAX. And I'm happy to say that Geekom has finally addressed the temperature issues in their mini PCs, you know, just by making this a little bit of a bigger package than the previous IT 13s, 15s, and so on. Not that those were dying because of high temperatures, they were just uncomfortably high. And with this machine right here, that's not the case at all. Temperatures are always fine, and that's what I like to see. It also doesn't throttle because of it, and it allows them to have a little bit higher TDP. Also, when it comes to the port selection, it has plenty of them. I never run out of ports here when using Geekom machines. I maybe would like to see a USB-C port here on the front, because 4 USB-As, yeah, it's a bit too much maybe. I found myself wanting a USB-C port right here, for example, simple to plug a controller. And lastly, talking about the gaming performance, the Radeon 890M is a good iGPU. It's not the best iGPU anymore, because now we got the AI Max, which is awfully similar to this PC's name, A9 MAX. But yeah, AMD makes an APU, which is the AI Max 395 plus something like that, with the Radeon 8060S, which is the fastest iGPU around at the moment. And spoiler alert, that should come very soon to the channel. Still, guys, that Radeon 890M is good enough to play plenty of indie titles, plenty of optimized titles and esports games. Those will run fine, of course, but as you saw, most of the AAA stuff, especially the ones that aren't optimized, which recently is almost all of them, unfortunately. Yeah, this iGPU right here will still struggle in those titles, unfortunately. You gotta turn things down to 720p, lowest settings and so on, and they will be playable, but it's not a gameplay experience that I would recommend. Especially for the price point of this mini PC, $1,000. It will be discounted, by the way. I'll have links down below in the description if you're interested in buying it. But yeah, $1,000 is way too high, as I said in the intro, for a mini PC. These prices need to come down. It's really well built and so on, but it still has an APU inside with an iGPU, and for the same price you could buy a laptop with a dedicated GPU that will outperform something like this in games. So this is for a very specific person. If you're interested in buying it, if you want a mini PC for yourself with these specs, it does the job, it's well built, the cooling is adequate, the PC doesn't get too loud, and yeah, it's just a nice little machine that's a bit overpriced in my opinion. And that's been it for this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.